Trinesha Catrell, and welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I am so grateful to have you here on this journey of self discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we're going to be talking about fighting when you got nothing left. Girl, you on your last, you just trying to make it. And the only thing keeping you is God. Like, let's just be real. But, anyways, before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more uplifting and empowering content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. Okay, so all this energy that I got right now, I did not have that this morning, last night, maybe last week or the week before. Like, let me tell you, your girl been struggling and I've been going through. And it's so weird because it's not like the big traumatic events that happen in life that make you feel like you got the life sucked out of you. It's not an event like that happen. It's just a series of unfortunate events that are good. Because sometimes things will happen in our life and we feel like, oh my gosh, it's just one bad thing or another. It's always something. We make all of these little colloquialisms and sayings to make it seem like nothing's ever going to get better. But I want you to hang on to the reminder that God is with you always. I want you to hang on to the reminder that even though you're going through something, remember you're going through it. You're not staying in it. Whenever something is happening in your life, I want you to always remember that there's always a tomorrow. Joy comes in the morning. It is not that you are going to be sitting in sadness forever. You will not always be heartbroken forever. You will not always be feeling like that you're on your last leg or something is always, you're down in the dumps or whatever, so on and so forth. We always have some kind of thing that we like to come up with in our minds to try to keep ourselves down, or people around us will tell us something that we're not when we know who we are. You have to always hold on to the fact that God told you who you are and he knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Even if nobody else sees your value, you have to know who you are and whose you are. You have to know that regardless of anybody else's opinion, God is the one's opinion who matters above anybody else. So today at church, the pastor was preaching from Judges 3:31, and it's the story of Shamgar. And a lot of people don't know about his story. I did talk about it in a previous video, I think about a year ago. But Shamgar was a judge. It's in Judges. So he was one of the judges, and he fought 600 Israelites, Philistines. Let me check the Bible. Philistines with an ox guard. And an ox guard is like a little pointed thing that like a stick with a sharpened end that you use to guard like sheep and herd them so that they would go in one direction. It would stick them, but it wouldn't kill them and it wouldn't harm them, but it would give them enough, like it would get their attention enough to where they would know they need to move. Like this is the time you got to get up and go. You can't just be staying in one place. If you go this direction, you're going to be in danger. So I need you to move somewhere else. And as I started to think about that, the pastor's sermon was about being part of the solution. But as he was talking about the story of Shamgar, it made me think of how we got to get up and move. Like, I don't know what you're going through in your life. I'm telling you, I've been really struggling emotionally lately and I don't know what's happening, but I know God. And so when I'm weak, I know that he could be my strength. When I'm going through things in life, I know who to turn to. When I don't have anybody else to call on, I can call on the name of Jesus and it gives me strength unlike anything I've ever had in my life. You see me right now in this moment. I was literally in tears feeling like I ain't know how I was going to make it to the rest of the day. And I just had to get up out of the bed and just do one thing at a time to keep moving forward in my life. Like it was a struggle for real. And I know you see me on here and I got all this energy, but let me tell you, it all came from God. It did not come from my own strength. I leaned on God's strength in the moments where I was the weakest. I leaned on his strength and called on him when I needed him. And that's what gave me the life that I needed to keep pushing forward. And sometimes that's what we got to do in life. When we have rejection from somebody else, when we don't get the thing that we prayed for, when we wanted something so badly and it's because it's something that we wanted and not because it's something that we needed in our lives, God can sometimes let us be in pain so that we could feel it, so we could push through it, so we can have what we need to go to the next level. And I know somebody on this video is probably saying, why would God let you go through pain? How many things have you went through in the past where you felt like, oh, it just doesn't make any sense? And now you look back at it and you're like, oh my gosh, it makes total sense why God would allow me to go through this. Because for me, being a hard head sometimes, like I know I wouldn't have learned any other way, but like straight up, like without somebody being like real to the point and like, this is what it is, I'm not going to learn any other way. And so God knows me for sure. He knows that I need to learn the hard way things so that I can move past it. Because if I don't learn my own, like if I don't learn the things that I'm struggling with or the things that I need to move forward and the reasons why I need to move forward with it, or even without knowing the reason why, then I won't move forward. I'll just be sitting there like, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? And God is the whole time like, this is why. Like, it's got to be blunt. You got to be like to the point with me in order for me to be like, okay, all right, I get it. This is why. So now I just have to move forward in my life, and I have to make sure I make better decisions in the future. Everything that happens in your life is not a loss, it's a lesson. So whenever you're going through something, know that rejection is God's redirection, and everything that seems like a loss is a lesson. So take the lessons from it. Take them L's, them lessons, and learn what it is that you have to do better the next time, because now you know that you won't squander something that it means a lot to you. Now you know you will treat a person better in the future. Now you know that you will lean more on God's understanding instead of your own understanding when it comes to situations and circumstances in your life. Now you know that you need to be appreciative of all the things that you have in life and not just one thing or another. Or instead of acting like maybe you don't care about something that you do care about, maybe you gotta really be for real and just be honest about how you feel about certain things in your life, because people can't just read your mind. Like, always remember that. And so as you're moving forward in your life, I want you to always remember that when God is directing you, it's not always going to make sense. And although you're struggling, lean not on your own understanding, because our ways are not his ways, our thoughts are not his thoughts. And God is always with us. Whenever you are struggling, whenever you feel like, oh my gosh, it just seems like every day is more harder than the last day. Every day that I get up, I just don't know how I'm going to make it. I'm just so heartbroken. I'm just, whatever you're going through in your life, I feel it. You feel it. We all feel it. And you are not alone. Sometimes for me, it helps me when I know that somebody else is struggling with the same thing. Not because misery likes company, but because sometimes it really does feel like you're the only one that's heartbroken. You're the only one that's living this God life. You're the only one that's trying to do the right thing. But doing the right thing never goes out of style, and it's never too late to make a good decision in your life. It's never too late to change and want to be better, to do better, to seek after God. It's never too late. Sometimes we feel like we've done so much wrong that God ain't never going to forgive us, but God is not like us. He is God. He always forgives us because his grace and mercy is unlike anything I've ever known in my life. Like, I make so many mistakes in my life, and God is like, I still accept you. I still love you. You know what? You done did all of this. You done had hot mess tendencies. I'm going to take the hot mess tendencies and I'm going to use that for my advantage as well. You done went this way when I told you to go this way. Okay, I'll use this as a lesson and build your future with it. It doesn't matter what you're doing in your life. When you decide that you want to do better, when you decide to seek God, God will take all of it. The mess, the dirt, the missteps, the mistakes, everything that you've done wrong in your life, God will use it for his advantage, for the betterment of your future. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we feel like it's just us. We just on this by ourselves. We just the only person struggling. You're not the only person. You're not alone. Seek God, keep praying, go to therapy, do the things that you have to do to keep being a better person, because I promise you it will pan out in the end. If it's not good, then it's not God. God is not done yet. Know that if you are in a storm, if something is happening in your life, it's because you're probably on the edge, the cusp of a breakthrough. When you are going through something in your life and you feel like you don't know how you're going to make it anymore, turn to God, lay at his feet, come to his feet. I literally was dreaming the other night, and it's gonna sound like ominous and whatever, but listen, it might not sound too bad. But the other night I was having a dream and I was like really struggling, and I was like, God, I just don't know what to do, right? And all I hear in my dream is, come lay at my feet. And I was like, that's so weird. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard, like ever. So I'm like, okay, this makes absolutely no sense. And then I hear a sermon the next day, and the pastor says, whenever you're struggling, just come lay at God's feet. I said, okay. Now, I wasn't just tripping. This was a real thing. Like, this is really what I have to do. I need to go to God and really humble myself and be like, God, this is why I'm struggling. This is what I truly want. Because in the past, I would lie. I'd be like, God, no, I'm good. I don't really need that thing. And the whole time I'd be like, but I really want it. And so I had to really be like, God, I really do want this thing. Like, I really do. And if it's not your will, I understand. Take it away from me. It's going to suck. I'm going to cry in the dark. But when the morning comes, when the light comes, I'm going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. I'm going to heal in due time. Timing is everything. I know I'm waiting on God's appointed time for the things that I prayed for, and I have to be patient in the season. I might not know like how I'm feel like I got so bad in the season where I was feeling like I don't want to have hope anymore. I was like, what's the point of hoping for stuff if you're not going to get those things, or if God's telling me I can't have all the things that I want in my life, right? The point is, faith without hope is dead. It's easy to have faith when everything is going your way and you get all the things that you want in life. But you know what's real faith? It's having faith in times when it doesn't look like it's going to work out. When it looks like you done prayed for everything and everything is going the complete opposite. I did say a prayer recently, and I feel like this is what God's doing. I don't know. Somebody tell me. But I prayed, God, I want to have the type of love story. I want to have the type of life to where people, the only way that I can explain it is you did it. Like, it's obviously nothing that I did. It's going to be so apparent that God did it because I had no more strength in me, because I lost a sense of hope in one season where I was like, I don't even see how it's going to work out. Like, I know God could do it. And while you're waiting in the waiting season, it just feels hopeless, or like hope deferred. And so your heart grows sick. But I had to remember that God has a purpose, that everything happens for a reason. Everything that's happening in my life is not just happening just to make me feel bad and guilty about decisions that I made in the past because I made mistakes. Every single human being makes mistakes. Sometimes we really beat ourselves up so badly, feeling like we the only person that ever made a mistake in our lives, and you're not the only person. Everybody messes up. The point is to learn from the mistake. No, you can't change the past. You can't make somebody like you or want to be with you. You can't make a job accept you. You can't make people accept you. But God loves you through it all. And you have to love yourself, regardless of anybody else's opinion of you. And although it may seem like it's not going to work out at the time when you feel like all hope is lost, God will come through in the 11th hour. God always comes through. There were some scriptures that the pastor said at church today that really helped me when I was struggling. And he said, he who begins a good work in you is faithful to the end. It says that God will never leave you nor forsake you. It says, be ye steadfast and knowing that your labor is not in vain, because in due season you will reap a harvest if you faint not. That's one thing that we forget when we're going through this journey, when we're struggling, when we are having hard times in our life. We forget that we cannot grow weary in doing good. You cannot give up on yourself. You cannot give up on God. You have to keep going, because if you give up on yourself, then that's it. Like, you giving up on yourself is not an answer. You have to continue to stay focused on God. You have to continue to keep going for your dreams, keep going for the things that you want in life. You have to keep doing it, even if it doesn't work out. Even if it doesn't work out right now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work out in the future. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have something more grace for you. It doesn't mean that God doesn't have better for you. It doesn't mean that you can't do more in your life. But sometimes we forget because we don't see the fruit of our labor. We don't see the things panning out the way that we want them to. But it's not about what you want. It's about what God wants for you in your life. It's about making sure that you stay faithful. It's about doing the right thing. It's about being a solution to the world instead of adding trouble to the world. You being just like everybody else is not you changing anything. You have to make sure that no matter what happens around you, that you stay positive. Just keep believing in yourself. Keep believing that you know that you know that you know that God is who he says he is, that everything is going to be just fine, and everything will be. Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest if you faint not. You cannot give up on yourself or God. Keep being faithful. And the last thing was the Lord's Prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And then the last one was all things work together for those who know God and are called according to his purpose. We all have a purpose and a mission when we're born. God knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb, and he knows every hair on our head. Everything that you're doing is for a purpose, and don't forget that. Know that you being faithful and having faith in God is showing somebody else how to be faithful and not to grow weary and doing good. Because in due season, you'll reap a harvest if you faint not. If God is for you, He's more than the whole world is against you. So always believe in God and always believe in yourself, because you can do this. You cannot give up now. You have came way too far. You have done too much work to give up on yourself. So don't stop believing and be faithful, hopeful. You got this. Everything is going to be okay. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good, amazing Sunday. Bye.